There is a particular kind of weight that has a way of arriving with the morning. It does not wait for you to be awake enough to defend against it. It comes in before the defenses are up, in the first moments of consciousness, and it takes the shape of something you said, something you did, something you failed to do, something that lives in the past but does not stay there. It follows you into the present. It sits with you in the quiet. If regret woke with you this morning, you are not alone in that, and you are not condemned by it. Regret is one of the most honest human experiences. It is the recognition, arrived at too late to change anything, that something could have gone differently, and that you, in some way, were part of why it went the way it did. There is a kind of integrity in that recognition. It means your conscience is working. It means you care about the gap between who you have been and who you want to be. But regret, left unaddressed, has a way of becoming something heavier than honesty. It becomes accusation. It becomes a loop that runs in the quiet moments, a voice that says, "You should have known better. You should have done more." The damage cannot be undone, and you are the reason it happened. The particularly difficult thing about this voice is that it contains a small amount of truth. And truth, even partial truth, can give a lie enormous power. Yes, you made choices. Yes, those choices had consequences. Yes, things might have gone differently. All of that may be factually accurate. But the voice that uses those facts to condemn you indefinitely, to deny the possibility of grace, to insist that the story ends there, that voice is not truth. That voice is a distortion of truth in the service of despair. And this morning, we are going to interrupt it. That voice is worth examining. Because there is a difference between the honest acknowledgement of a mistake, which leads somewhere useful, and the relentless replaying of that mistake in an endless loop that leads nowhere at all. One is the voice of a conscience doing its proper work. The other is the voice of shame, which is not the same thing, and which God did not give you. Conviction, when it comes from God, leads somewhere. It says, "This happened. Here is what was wrong about it. Here is what needs to change. And now, here is grace." It does not linger indefinitely at the scene of the failure. It moves through it. Shame, by contrast, is interested only in the verdict. It wants you to remain at the scene forever, not to learn from it, but simply to suffer it. And that is not how grace works. This distinction matters enormously for how we hold regret. There is a version of sitting with what you have done that is honest and healthy, that looks clearly at the failure, names what was wrong, carries appropriate sorrow, seeks to make right what can be made right, and then moves. And there is another version that becomes its own kind of prison, that returns to the scene again and again, not because returning serves any purpose, but because some part of you believes that you have not suffered enough, that the punishment has not been proportional, that if you could just feel bad enough for long enough, the accounting would somehow balance. I want to tell you this morning that the accounting is not yours to balance, and that the version of regret that keeps you chained to the past is not holy suffering. It is a refusal of grace. God does not ask you to inflict adequate punishment on yourself before restoration becomes available. He asks you to turn, to return, to receive what He has already prepared for the people who come back to Him with honest hearts. This morning we are coming to a verse that was written for people who know what it is to have lost years to something that should not have happened, and to wonder whether those years can ever be recovered. In Joel 2:25, we read these words spoken by God Himself. I will repay you for the years the locusts have eaten, the great locust and the young locust, the other locusts and the locust swarm, my great army that I sent among you. This verse arrives in a passage of return and restoration. The people Joel was writing to had experienced devastation, crops destroyed, years lost, the land laid bare. And the Lord does not explain away what happened. He does not say the locusts were an illusion or that the loss was not real. He acknowledges the loss and then makes a staggering promise. I will repay you for the years the locusts have eaten. The lost years. The years you cannot get back. The years spent in patterns that did damage. The years you wish had gone differently. The years you might spend, if you are not careful, in regret over years, which is simply one more way to lose them. God says to those people, those years are mine to repay, not yours to undo. You cannot undo them, and the weight of trying will only compound the loss. Mine to repay. What was eaten can be restored. What was wasted does not have to be the final accounting. This is not a prosperity promise. It is not saying that God will give you a numerically equivalent replacement for every year you regret. It is saying something deeper. That the God who holds time is not limited by time's normal rules. That restoration is possible in ways that do not require going backward. That what seems irreversibly lost, seasons, relationships, opportunities, years, can be redeemed into something that the locust damage itself could not predict or contain. Think about what this means for the way you hold your history. The years you look back on with the most regret, those years are not simply lost. They are in God's hands, and God does not waste anything. The damage done by wrong choices, the time consumed by patterns that should have been broken sooner, the relationships strained by the person you were before you became who you are becoming. None of it is outside His reach or beyond His ability to work with. Restoration does not always look like reversal. Sometimes it looks like the person you are now, having come through the fire of deep regret, being able to meet another person in their own fire, with a compassion and a presence that someone who had never been through it could not offer. The years the locusts ate can become years that feed others. That is the peculiar economy of a God who redeems. You may be wondering, as you sit with your regret this morning, whether the thing you are replaying is forgivable. Whether the gap between who you were and who you should have been is too wide for grace to cover. Whether there are some mistakes that simply disqualify you from restoration. I want to speak directly into that wondering. There is nothing, no failure, no choice, no pattern of accumulated mistakes, no years lost to things you are ashamed of, that places you outside the reach of a God who says, I will repay. The promise in Joel is not made to people who had small, respectable failures. It is made to people who had watched years of their lives get eaten. It is a promise for large losses. It is a promise for the kind of regret that keeps you awake. And here is what receiving that promise requires of you. Not that you earn back what was lost. Not that you punish yourself adequately before the restoration begins. Not that you spend enough time replaying the failure to demonstrate that you have learned its lesson. It requires turning, returning, facing in a new direction, and walking. That is what the surrounding chapters of Joel describe. A return to God with weeping and mourning, yes, but also with the expectation of grace. And the grace that comes in response is not proportional to the mourning. It exceeds it. There is a second passage I want to read to you. The promise of one who makes all things new, who is not constrained by what has already happened. In Isaiah 43:18-19, we hear, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." Do not dwell on the past. This is not a command to pretend the past did not happen. It is an invitation not to live there. There is a difference between honest acknowledgement and relentless dwelling. Acknowledgement moves through the past on the way to something. Dwelling circles it endlessly, as though staying at the scene long enough will somehow change what happened. God says, "I am doing a new thing, right now, in the present tense. Not after you have done sufficient penance, not once you have replayed the failure enough times to prove you have adequately understood it. Now. And the new thing is not a small thing. It is a way through wilderness, streams in wasteland. In the places that seem most dry and impassable, something is being made to flow. The wilderness and the wasteland are the places that appear most resistant to new growth. They are the parts of your story that seem most stubbornly marked by what went wrong. And it is precisely there, not around those places, not after them, but in them, that God says streams are being made. The desert does not become undesert, but it receives water. And water in the desert changes what is possible. Life comes where life seemed impossible. Do you perceive it? The question in the verse is not rhetorical. It is an invitation to look, to begin to see, even in the most damaged parts of the story, small signs of something new. A capacity for honesty that was not there before. A humility that hard years produce in people who let them. A gentleness toward others' failures that only someone who has known their own can fully carry. A willingness to extend grace to others that is only possible in someone who has needed it badly. These are not consolation prizes. These are the streams beginning to flow in places that were dry. God is not constrained by the history of the desert. He is already at work in it. This is what grace does with regret. It does not deny the desert. It brings water into it. Let us bring the regret to prayer now. Not to rehearse it one more time, but to release it. To hand it to the one who said, "I will repay." The one who makes streams in the wasteland. And to receive in return what only grace can give. There is a difference between praying about regret and praying with regret. Praying about it keeps it at a manageable distance. It is a topic you are presenting. Praying with it means bringing the whole weight, the full feeling, the specific texture of this particular morning's heaviness, and placing it before God without a neat summary or a tidy theological frame. That is what we are doing now. Not presenting a report, bringing the thing itself, and trusting that the one who made us is not going to be overwhelmed by what we bring. Father, I come to you this morning carrying regret. Some of it is fresh. Some of it has been with me for a long time, old enough that I cannot remember what it felt like before it was there. The weight of choices I would unmake if I could. The words I said that I cannot take back. The seasons I wasted on things that were not worth the wasting. The people I failed to love well when I had the chance. I have replayed these things more times than I can count. I have told myself that if I examine them thoroughly enough, if I sit with them long enough, something will resolve. That the guilt will lift, or the damage will reverse, or I will understand enough to be at peace with what happened. But replaying does not resolve. It only compounds. And I am tired of compounding. So I am bringing it to you, not to replay it one more time, but to release it. All of it. The regret that woke with me this morning. The regret I have been carrying quietly for months, for years. The failures I have not fully forgiven in myself. The mistakes I have been punishing myself for without any clear end date. I lay them down here, in front of you, and I ask for something I cannot generate on my own. Grace. Not the removal of consequence. I am not asking for that, and I understand that some consequences are real, and some damage takes time to heal. I am asking for the freedom to stop living at the scene, for the ability to acknowledge what was wrong without being permanently defined by it, for the grace to turn away from the loop of self-accusation and face in the direction of something that does not exist yet, but that your word says is already being made. I am asking you to repay the years the locusts have eaten, not to pretend they were not eaten, but to be the God who holds time differently than I do, who can take what was lost and, without erasing it, make something new from the ground where it stood. I receive your forgiveness, even for the things I have been withholding from myself. I receive the promise that there is no failure too large for grace, no years so lost that you cannot do something with the ground they left behind. I receive the truth that conviction is meant to move through the failure, not to set up permanent residence in it. That shame is not my teacher, that you are. And I ask for the specific grace to forgive myself, not to excuse what happened, but to stop being my own most relentless accuser, to stop replaying what you have already forgiven, to stop living as though the verdict of my worst moments is the truest thing about me. I release the need to understand exactly how restoration is going to come. I release the timeline. I release the demand that I see what the new thing looks like before I trust that you are making it. You said it is already springing up. Help me to perceive it, to begin to see the small signs of something new happening in the places that felt most barren. Walk with me into this day, not as someone condemned by the past, but as someone who has been turned in a new direction by grace. Someone who knows what they have done and knows, more deeply, what has been done for them. And Father, where there is still practical repair to be done, where the regret is pointing me toward an apology I have been delaying, a conversation I have been avoiding, a step I have been too ashamed or afraid to take, give me the courage for it. Not all restoration requires dramatic action, but some does. Where I have been avoiding the repair because I have been more comfortable living in regret than in the vulnerable work of making things right, move me toward the repair. You do not ask us only to feel sorry. You ask us to turn. Help me turn not just emotionally, but practically, wherever that turning requires something from me that I have been withholding. And for the things that cannot be repaired by anything I do, the truly irreversible losses, the doors that are genuinely closed, the damage I cannot reach to fix. Give me the grace to release those into your hands, to trust that even there, in the places where human repair is impossible, you are not without options. That your redemption is not limited to the things I can fix. That you can work in the space of irreversible consequence in ways I cannot foresee, cannot orchestrate, and cannot earn, but can receive if I am willing to trust. Let the regret become, in your hands, something useful, a depth of empathy for people who are failing, a patience with the slowness of growth, a gratitude for grace that only people who have needed it badly can fully feel. Let nothing about these years be wasted, even the years that were wasted. You are the God who repays. Trust that I am trusting you to do exactly that. And now let these words be spoken over you as a benediction, not as a closing performance, but as a true sending into the day that is ahead. May the regret you brought into this morning begin to lose its grip, slowly, as you walk. Not because it never happened, but because you have placed it in hands large enough to hold it, and to do something with it that you could never do yourself. May the new thing God is doing spring up in your sight today. May you perceive it in something small, something you almost missed, something that should not have been there but is. The first sign that even the wasteland is receiving water. May you walk into this day as someone who has been turned away from the scene of the failure and toward the horizon of grace. Not perfect, not finished, but turned and moving and accompanied by the God who makes streams in the most unexpected places. May that movement, however small, be the beginning of something you will one day recognize as restoration. You are not defined by what you regret. You are known and loved by the one who says, I will repay. I am making something new. Amen.